Hello everyone, and I am currently in a daily tournament, and today I'm gonna show what happened during round 1 of the daily tournament that I'm in. I also forgot to mention that during these games, me and him were online at the same time at some point, and this wasn't really a daily match. This was a rapid match because we were blitzing out moves and stuff. But yeah, and it starts off with d d4, knight f6, knight c3, g6, basically a king's Indian defense. And here I play e5 because here I went e5 because you usually go e5 in the king's Indian defense, but this is actually a mistake. The better move here would be knight takes e4, knight takes e4 and d5 with a fork. And the reason why e5 is a mistake is due to d takes, and after queen takes d8, rook takes d8, knight takes on e5, and there's two attackers on the f7 pawn. And after, let's say, bishop e6, protecting the f7 pawn, bishop takes, pawn takes, and white is a pawn up, and you have a weakness on e6, and white should be better, if not winning here. And the game went d takes e5, d takes e5, and here my opponent makes a big blunder. He sacrifices the bishop for no reason. I believe he thought that after rook takes, queen takes, he would be winning, but he did not see at all that I had the move king takes f7, taking his bishop for free instead of taking with the rook. And here he goes knight e5 check, king g8, and here he plays another bad move, which is queen f3. The reason queen f3 is a bad move is because my rook is attacking his queen, or is looking at his queen, and the bishop is looking at the knight. So I go knight f to d7, attacking his knight and his queen at the same time. He goes queen g3, and I take his knight with the bishop for free, and here he goes f4. And in this position I was debating whether to go queen f6 with the trap of if pawn takes, queen takes with checkmate. And the other move here I was debating was bishop d4 check, which is another good move. And the engine also likes bishop g7. I go queen f6. The other bishop moves were actually better than queen f6, but this is still a fine move. He finds the best move, knight d5, attacking my queen and attacking the c7 pawn. I play bishop d4 check, attacking his king, king h1. And here I play a bad move. I actually calculated queen d6, but I calculated so many other lines that I actually forgot about queen d6. So to defend this pawn, I actually go queen d8, which is a mistake. And now f5. He plays f5 to attack the c7 pawn twice, and to attack my king. And here I play e5, defending the c7 pawn and attacking his queen. But the better move was actually knight c6 with the trap. For example, if he takes the pawn, you sacrifice the queen, queen takes, and then you trap his queen with the bishop, and black is winning here. But instead I go bishop e5, bishop f4, protecting his queen, attacking my bishop, and bishop takes, queen takes, and here I go knight a6 to defend the pawn, queen h6, and here I play a mistake, which is g takes f5, because I wanted my king to go to h8. And the better move here was actually knight e5, defending the pawn. For example, if pawn takes, knight takes, and there's no attack on my king, and I am a bishop and a knight up, and I am just winning. But instead, in the game, I went g takes f5, and I wanted to trade off as many pieces as possible to make sure my king is safe, but this leads into a draw. So rook takes f8, rook takes f8, e takes f5, and here I was debating whether to go queen f8 or c6. And queen f8 was actually the best move, attacking the pawn and the queen. But I go c6, which is a mistake, because it allows f6, the only move. And now I can't take, because of checkmate. So I have to attack his queen, and attack the pawn, and prevent the pawn from coming down. Here he plays the mistake knight e7 check, attacking my king. And the only move is king f7, because if king h8, knight g6 wins the queen. So king f7, attacking his knight and attacking this pawn. Queen takes h7. Now king e8, I'm completely safe here. No attacks, his pawn might be lost very soon. And instead of playing rook e1, which draws the game, or knight g6 and something like knight takes f6 and then rook e1 check, which also draws the game, in this position, my opponent plays the mistake queen g6 check, and this is a mistake because I have queen f7, and my opponent here goes queen g7, which does nothing. I still take his pawn for free. Queen takes f6, and here, I'm guessing it was a mouse slip, but it's a daily game, and in daily games there's confirmation buttons asking you if you want to make the move. And I don't know why, but he just gives up his queen for free. I calculated that after queen g8 check, king takes, rook takes, king d6 check, and then the knight defends. I calculated this, but he didn't go for it. There's no such thing as mouse slips in daily games, but he just gives up his queen. So queen takes, rook e1, setting up a discover check on my queen. King d8, getting out of this diagonal, out of the discover check. And because I'm attacking his b2 pawn, he plays c3, defending it. And I play queen f6, double attacking his knight. He goes knight g8, attacking my queen. And here I should go queen f2 immediately. That just wins on the spot. But I go for Zugzwang for some reason, so queen f8. His knight can't go anywhere else but back, and then I go f2. And his rook is forced to move, because if he moves anywhere on this diagonal, for example, trying to protect this knight by rook e5, or let's say rook e4, queen f1 is checkmate. So he goes rook d1 and resigns the game, because he loses his knight. Game 2, I go for the London system. So this is a c4 London setup, e6, and here I decide to go queen b3, attacking his b7 pawn. And my opponent goes knight a5, attacking my queen and defending the pawn. A better move would be bishop b4, attacking the knight and blocking my vision on the b7 pawn. But knight a5 is played, queen a4 check, knight c6, and I go c5 to stop the bishop from developing to d6 and trying to trade off my bishop. So I have constant pressure on the c7 pawn. He goes bishop e7 to develop his bishop, and here I play a dubious move, which is knight f3. And knight f3 is dubious because there are better moves like bishop a6, which puts pressure on the queen side. And the whole point of c5 here was to open up the scope for the bishop to go to b5 or knight b5. And let's say something like b takes a6, white wins because double attacking this pawn here, and he cannot defend it. And for example, bishop b5 is good because let's say queen d7 trying to defend the knight. Now you can go knight f3 with the plan of knight e5. For example, let's say he tries to boot the bishop. You attack the queen and the knight and it's just GG's. But knight f3 is dubious because it doesn't put forceful pressure on the queen side. And here my opponent blunders by playing b6. He gives up a free knight with check, knight d7, blocking the check. And here I was debating whether to go knight e5 or bishop e5. And I had a lot of trouble calculating these lines for some reason. And I decided to go for a line I could actually calculate. For some reason this line was easier to calculate for me. But the other two lines with knight e5 and knight b5 were the best. So I just go for bishop takes c7. I calculate after queen c8, knight e5. This is actually dubious because a better move would be bishop a6 attacking the queen. And if queen were to take on a6, there's queen takes a8, knight b8 defending the check. You take the knight, and he has to defend with the queen. You take the queen, the bishop comes, and then you take the bishop with checkmate. But let's say after, okay, so the best move after bishop a6 is actually to sacrifice your queen. So I missed this. And that is why the win here is dubious, because it's not immediate. There's more complications. So I have to figure out this win. So he castles, and here I take a free knight, so queen takes d7. And here my opponent plays a bad move, which is f6. And this allows queen takes e7, f takes, and then bishop takes e5. And my bishop is not being attacked anymore, and I'm kind of free. And he goes rook f7, protecting the g7 pawn because I was threatening checkmate, while also attacking my queen. And here I calculated that knight d6 was a bad move because my queen gets trapped, but the engine sees this as the best move because after rook d7, I only calculated up to here, and I thought my queen was trapped, it can't go anywhere. Which is true, my queen is trapped. But after bishop a6 attacking his queen, if rook takes, queen takes, his rook's hanging, and my bishop gets away free if he decides to save his rook. So here, thinking that queen d6 was a mistake, I go queen g5, keeping pressure on this weak g7 pawn. He plays another dubious move, which is h6, and I just go g3, keeping dark square control and constant pressure on this weak g7 pawn. And he also weakened his king side a bit more by playing h6, as we'll see in the game, that this kinda leads to his downfall very quickly. So after queen g3 plays b takes c5, I go bishop e2 with the plan of going h5 or castles. And plays c takes d4, bishop takes d4. He goes queen b7 attacking the weak b3 pawn. I play b3, just defending it. He goes rook e8. A better move would be rook c8 attacking my knight. And then something like castles or rook c1, fighting for the c file. But he goes rook e8. I don't know what this move does, but it does make my move bishop h5 stronger because I'm attacking both of his rooks. And here he plays g4, weakening his king side, and I just take the free pawn. Bishop takes, queen takes, and now his king is busted, and I'm gonna destroy his king side. So king f8, queen takes h6, king e7, and here I castle, trying to get my rooks out too. King d8, and knight a4 is played. The engine likes rook ac1 better, because if he were to move his king, I have discovered attacks maybe on his king. But I go knight a4. The point of this is to potentially go knight c5, and to put my rooks on the c file to make sure the king doesn't escape to the queen side. And here he plays another bad move, rook to e7. This doesn't do anything. This actually allows me to check if I want. And the best move here is knight c5, queen c6, protecting the double attacked pawn, and rook ac1. threatening discovered attacks on the queen. But in this position I play rook fc1, which is also a good move. And the point of this move is to stop the king from going over to the queen side, restricting the king. And here he plays rook h7, attacking my queen for no reason. And I go queen f8 check, and this is mate in 15 with perfect play. So rook e8, queen d6 check, rook d7, rook f6 check, rook e7, and bishop takes e7, king e8, and here I calculated queen takes e6, rook takes e6, and this is the best move from the engine, and I only calculated up to here, and I didn't calculate any further for some reason, but this is winning after queen g8 check, king d7, and knight c5, winning his queen. But for some reason I didn't calculate further. So in this position I actually sacrificed my queen by playing knight c5, and now rook takes my queen, I take his queen, and rook d7 with a fork. And here I decided that my bishop is worth more because the dark squares are weak, and I also have these pawns that will fly up. So bishop f6, sacrificing my knight. And now here I play f4 because I anticipated his king attacking my bishop and I wanted an outpost here. This also restricts his pawn from ever going down, and this bishop will also stop any of these pawns from ever coming down. So king f7, and here, after I played e5, I realized that bishop d4 was best, making sure his rook can never leave the protection of this pawn. Can never leave. So bishop e5, king g6, and now king f2, walking up, preparing to launch the pawns. And here he plays rook h7. I was hoping he would go king f5 so I could play king f3. And I had the idea of playing g4, booting him out, and then just moving my pawns forward. And king f5, king f3 is actually the best engine move. So king f2, rook h7, and here I play rook c6, attacking his weak e6 pawn, and rook h2, rook takes h2 is played, and he kinda had nothing else better to do because if he were to defend this pawn with king f7, rook c7 check, well, king g6 or king g8, no matter where he goes, I trade his rook, and he's dead lost here. I have a free rook, a bishop, I have two passed pawns, I have a king. He's just dead here. So rook takes h2, f5 check, king takes f5, and I take his rook because f5 is a discovered attack. And he goes e5, and here I go rook d1, but it's actually mate in 6 or mate in 7 with the move king f3, e4 check, king g3, king g5, rook d1 attacking the pawn, threatening checkmate, d4, rook takes d4, and now I'm threatening checkmate on the next move, and something like a6, because no matter where he goes, it's just checkmate, because he cannot go up, he cannot go down. And yeah, it ends on rook d1 here, he resigns. And if you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. Have a nice day, and peace out.